the Atlas Post. Today we are going to be talking about rent and evictions. Yes, rent and evictions, but here's the great part is today what we have is across the U.S., different cities and what they are doing. Also what you need to know if you are getting a notice, what you need to do to prepare. So first of all, in Los Angeles, we're going to start there because I'm from LA. So we're going to start there. So they do have rent relief. The city council voted to create a rental assistance program and initially to fund it with $2.2 million. Each city has their different programs, but here's the great part is city by city, they're going to do it. Here in Los Angeles, the money will go directly to landlords and it will cover up to half a month's rent with a maximum of $1,000 per month and $3,000 over the life of the program. In Houston, the city council members approved a $15 million relief program aimed at helping renters make their payments in the midst of the COVID-19 crisis. Wow, $15 million in Houston. So the program will be managed by a well-known local nonprofit called Baker Ripley. And people who want to seek rental help can register on their website. So look at Baker Ripley if you are in Houston. So they will provide up to $1,056 of rental assistance per month to qualified low to moderate income people who could not pay their April and or May rent. So it's already May, so go ahead and get started over there. You may need it for June too. We'll see. And then also in Gainesville, Florida. This is pretty cool. Gainesville, Florida is, of course, where the University of Florida is, and the students, so living off campus, the students do need help too. The student government approved a bill for $500,000. It's supposed to help students who live in off-campus housing to pay their rent until the end of their lease, and any outstanding payments, look at this, they're going to go backwards too, retroactive from March, April, or May. So that is in Gainesville, Florida. Also, throughout the U.S., this was great from CNBC, what to know about rent relief. Now, these answers or questions vary widely depending on where you live because evictions are on hold, but eviction notices are still going out. Notice what I said. Eviction notices are on hold, but eviction notices are still going out. Because we thought there was a moratorium on evictions. No, they're not doing anything because court's not in session for one thing. But landlords can issue eviction notice during this time, but the courts aren't taking any action on these cases. Still, there is no protection for essential businesses and operations during the moratorium. And I know a lot of times you've been talking about rent and you think it's just for people that are individually renting. It's also businesses that are also renting too. So if you receive an eviction notice, don't ignore it. Notices are time sensitive and do require a response. You must, as a renter, must let your landlord know as soon as possible of your inability to pay due to COVID-19. Note that if you're a business with more than 9 employees, you must provide supporting documents to provide financial hardship, like bank statements showing reduced revenue. And don't be surprised if they do ask for it. Also, there is no restriction on what I've seen about increasing rent. They're saying it's not wise, but some people are still doing that. But here's the important part. It says if your rent has increased and you can't pay, they can't evict you during this time. So in the state of California, all tenants in the state right now are protected by no eviction order for 90 days after the California governor removes the state of emergency. In New York, landlords in New York can't file eviction orders against tenants right now, but they can come June 20th. So the moment that the moratoriums are lifted, of course, they're going to expect to see massive evictions. The smart thing would be to do is to, of course, pay your rent if you can. Also, here's the thing to note is this is for New York. The state has not announced any grace period for tenants to pay off their rental debt, and their non-payment can still be reported to the credit scoring companies. So the information I also have says if you're in federally backed housing, note this is federally backed housing, you may not be served an eviction until July 25th, 2020, and evicted until August 24th. In Connecticut, so there's a difference between being served an eviction and getting an eviction notice. So that's why some of the tenants are getting eviction notices. So if you are thinking of not paying your rent and just saving it up and skipping, or think twice about that because they are paying attention. In Connecticut, landlords are prohibited from evicting tenants from during the public health crisis, and also have to offer a 60-day grace period for tenants to catch up on their arrears. And property owners in the state are banned from trying to get their renters' non-payment tacked onto their credit reports. Oh, actually, that's good. In Delaware and Nevada, they can't charge late fees during the public crisis, but in Illinois and Rhode Island, they can. So you need to check with your state and your local area, of course. Renters in some states aren't even safe from eviction. So remember what I said, it's federally backed housing. You can still get rent notices, but you cannot be served an eviction for federally backed housing. And the proceedings continue to unfold in some states, including Wyoming, South Dakota, Missouri, and Idaho, albeit over Zoom or on the phone instead of in a courtroom. In the absence of state protection, some cities and counties have issued their own moratoriums, like a temporary suspension of evictions. In St. Louis, there might be some protections for renters locally. In other places where they are giving out notices, who enforces it? Anyway, the enforcement agencies are not going out there because, first of all, there's other things that they have to do, and they don't want to contribute to the program because people need to stay in their homes, to shelter at home. But there is one piece of consistency. It's the stimulus package Congress passed in March bans evictions of properties with federally, that's what we were talking about, federally backed mortgages and for tenants who receive government-assisted housing. So part of it is you may not know if your building has a federally backed mortgage. So even your landlord may not know if they have federally backed mortgage because there's also a resale market that goes on the mortgage. But if they are with Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, they do have tools that have helped renters search their property to learn if it qualifies for the eviction moratorium. Oh, that's really good. So if you are at Fannie Mae, note that it's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. If you're on Fannie Mae, they do have their Disaster Response Network, which is a free resource provided through Money Management International that's available for property residents living in apartments financed by a Fannie Mae DUS lender if you need assistance during that time. So that is, of course, on Fannie Mae's website. And for updated information, you can go down to the multifamily.fanniemae.com response portion. And at the bottom of the video in the description, we will, of course, include those links. Yes, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, they do have mentioned rental assistance. So this is for help where it helps apartment owners offer reduced rents to low-income tenants. And you can also search and apply directly at the Management Office of Public Housing, Housing Choice Voucher Programs, Resource Locator, local renting information. So there's a host of resources that are available, and you can contact your housing counseling agency or call toll-free. Here's the phone number, 800-569-4287. That's from HUD. So there's a lot of resources if you're a renter to help you go ahead and pay your rent. And isn't that exciting? Just wait. The next things we have to cover are, of course, for mortgages. Are you having challenges paying your rent or facing eviction due to the coronavirus? Please leave your comments as we want to know how this has affected you. As a community, we can help each other and become stronger together. Thanks for the thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. The Atlas Post is news relating to finances, the CARES Act, relief, stimulus bills, and more for those who like to get tips and hear their news. Thank you for joining us. This is the Atlas Post.